What's going on, guys? This is Frank Hatzis, and you're in Rope Dart School. Welcome to Rope Dart School, where we talk to dartists who are making massive waves and a positive impact in the rope dart community. My goal with this show is for you to hear what these aspirational dartists are doing and how you too can become a living rope dart legend. All right, today's interview is going to be hot. Originally from basically all over the world and moving to LA in 2015, this artist has been practicing rope dart for just about 10 years now. Likely the most recognizable face in rope dart, this woman is probably responsible for you even knowing what a rope dart is. The first dartist to go viral and stay viral, her influence can literally be seen everywhere. From teaching workshops across the globe, performing across the globe, and thus spreading the rope dart across the globe, is there anyone who hasn't felt the heat of this woman's flame? Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor, the one, the only, Sam Tobey, aka Flow Mayhem.
Thank you so much, Frank. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited.
I'm excited that you're here. I think that it's going to be just a banger of a show with regard to the experience you've had with a rope dart. And we're going to get crazy deep into that experience. But I do want to start by asking you the one question I start with everyone, and that is, where did you first see the rope dart, or what got you into the rope dart?
Yeah, so that's one of my favorite questions too. I love to pay homage to my queen, Eve Harper Close. I went to a festival called Serenity Gathering down in San Diego in 2015. And I was this cute little hula hooper. I thought I was really good at hula hoop at the time, and we were actually supposed to be performing at this show, at this festival. And I had never seen any kind of fire dance at that point in my life. I thought it was more of a Polynesian style thing that you see in Hawaii pretty much exclusively. But yeah, I was really excited to get on stage and show everybody my stuff. And before I was even able to get on stage, I these fire dancers started performing. There was like this fire circle right in front of the DJ. Amazing setup, and a lot of the people who really originally inspired me in Los Angeles were there. And at one point, this girl, she just screams to clear the whole fire circle, clear the floor, because she's gonna go up. And I was like, what is going on? Like, what is about to happen? And she starts flinging this giant ball of fire around, and everybody is just like, nobody's looking at the DJ. Everybody is just fixated on her. And yeah, that was Eve Harper Close. She definitely taught me a lot of my original moves, and she's always been a huge, huge, huge inspiration to me.
For sure. I met Eve Harper Close at Burning Man, maybe either 2017 or 2018. And, my first impression of her was similar to yours. Was all of a sudden there was this woman out in the fire circle and she was just going buck wild, all controlled. But I mean, just amazing tech, cartwheels, all these fancy things that I personally can't do. And, we got to talk for a little bit. She actually lives in New York City now, I believe. So she's pretty much near me somewhere.
Yeah, yep.
For sure. And when it came to this first time you were seeing her, you were saying that you were about to get on the stage. Were you were going to perform with a hoop? Is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I think we had LED hoops or something, and after that, our set, I think, ended up being cut, which is a good thing because I was so mesmerized by her. I didn't want to perform anymore. I didn't even want to get anywhere near the stage. I was just flabbergasted. I was like, what is that? I've never seen it distorted physics for me, the way that she was performing. And her energy was just unparalleled. So, needless to say, I did not really want to perform after her, and I think that there was a reason that our set got cut, but I was like, thank God. I just want to watch this girl for the rest of the night, creepily, which I did.
For sure, right? It's like having a slam dunk contest and you're up after Michael Jordan, right? Um,
Literally.
right. So Now, I just want to touch on performing because when it comes to performing, you moving to LA, did you move there specifically to become a performer? You weren't sure. What was the idea behind that, if you can share?
Um, it was funny. It was kind of this serendipitous thing that just drew me down to LA. I had just graduated from UC Santa Barbara, I think, in 2014, and I was waitressing, cocktailing in Santa Barbara at the time when I went to this festival and didn't really know what my next move was. I think I was going to get a job as a case manager or something, use my degree for something. Um, and yeah, and then I went to this festival, and after that, everything just sort of started drawing me down to Los Angeles. I met a boy who I started dating, who was actually another fire performer at the event. And I I didn't actually get to train that much with Eve. I trained a lot more with Andreas Trevino. He taught me a lot of my first moves, and I slept on his couch for a while. But slowly but surely, I was actually starting to just live in my car. And because I would be down in LA so often, that was actually my first year going to Burning Man as well. So I was kind of doing the like hippie trimmer scene as well up in Humboldt. So I was very nomadic back then, but one of the main reasons I moved to LA kind of slowly but surely was because of Eve and because of the rest of the fire performers that I saw at that festival. I was just enamored. There was also Purple 33 at the time, was this kind of underground after hours club where there would be a lot of the same performers that were at that event, and I wanted to be around them constantly. I was so creepily obsessed with them. I didn't really know how to be friends with any of them, but I was just enamored by them. So whenever there would be an event where they would be performing, I would be there. And that's how I moved to LA, actually.
I mean, that's a lot of great information, dropping knowledge bombs there. And just to point out things you said that I think would be important for any listener to take home with them. One, say, not that I encourage folks to put themselves in a dangerous situation, but Sam was saying she was sleeping in a car, sleeping on couches, following her dreams, and living that. Listen, that whole trimming, burnt, like I did that whole lifestyle too for a little bit, and it's very easy to keep that short lived. I didn't really like it so much, but just for everyone hearing it, it's there's a lot of sacrifice that has to be made, and it's not that folks just wake up one day and here they are. It's putting in a lot of time, and as I always say, what you do in the darkness will be revealed in the light. Jumping back to your earlier days, because I said it in the intro, and I think some folks might be like, "Wait, what the heck is he talking about?" You're kind of a child of planet Earth. You moved around a lot as a kid, and I believe that's even internationally. Can you dive into that a little bit so we get an idea of young Flo Mayhem?
Oh God, young non-flow mayhem, pre-flow mayhem, Sam. Yeah, I traveled around a lot when I was younger. It was kind of all over the place. I lived in Bulgaria, I lived in Cuba, I lived in Maryland, I lived in Canada. My parents lived in Jamaica at one point while I was going to boarding school in Massachusetts. So, yeah, it's a lot of strange random travel that was really cool in a lot of ways and also probably contributed to some of my strangeness and also contributed to my need to figure out my own identity because I was being pulled in so many different directions. So it created this need to find something that really resonated with me and identify with that.
So, would you say then, as a young child, that moving around a lot, obviously with your family, was an uncontrollable force that absolutely shaped who you are today?
Yes, and I think that it was a good thing and a bad thing. I think that at the end of the day, I like who I've become now, and I think that it pushed me to really be introspective and try and find myself, but I was really, really lost for a long time. And not to get all sappy woo-woo, but I feel like I did not really fully feel extremely comfortable in my skin until I started spinning. Well, I think as soon as I started spinning hula hoops, I was like, I'm getting closer to my essence, to what I'm here for, to what I'm trying to create on this planet. And then I found rope dart and I was like, okay, I have looked for so long for something like this. And finally, and I think that that's why it's the only thing I did for a really long time.
No, I mean, that's amazing. And it seems to be the story with a lot of rope artists is that they were kind of touching this thing a little bit, kind of touching this thing a little bit. And then they found the rope dart, and that was it. It was a laser-like focus on it, which it's kind of like two sides of the same coin because you need a laser-like focus on it if you're ever going to get as good as you want to be.
Definitely. Yeah, 100%. It's funny because I've seen that in other people where they pick it up. You know, I feel like Emily Say was one of my first students, and I could feel the hunger in her where she was not going to put it down. And she never did. And
Yeah.
here she is inspiring all of us now. So I've seen that in other people for sure. And it's really, really powerful when you find something that you connect with on that level.
Absolutely, and obviously we love Emily Tsai at Dart House, and we're actually super excited because she seems to be putting out content again. But
Yeah.
yeah, but even besides Emily, I mean, look, I can't go on Instagram or Facebook, and it's like I just see like a whole bunch of little Sam Tobey Flow Mayhems out there, and I mean that as a compliment because it just looks so good. So for, I mean, I doubt there's anybody watching who doesn't know who Sam Tobey is, but Sam's rope dart style is very much catered to entertainment and performance on a stage, fire, lots of wall playing techniques. And I'm over generalizing because there isn't anything Sam can't do with a rope dart. But
Not
you,
true.
well, I bet you can. You just maybe not yet, just like the rest of us. But losing my train of thought. But Sam's style is so performance based, and that comes out in every performance you see. So, for instance, I just watched a video. I believe you're at the Bellagio in Las Vegas.
Yeah, that was a really big deal for me, partially because the fires in Los Angeles have gotten things to be quite slow in LA in general. So that felt really good to be in this mainstream environment with all these kind of bigger corporate people who've obviously never seen rope dart. Yeah, that was a really cool show that we got to
Well,
do.
well, now they have seen rope dart, and once again, you're the one that's serving it to them on a silver platter. So, thank you so much for that, as always. And did you get a chance to use the Lyco dart there? Because that looks like something new you've been playing with, which has gotten me real excited.
Yeah, I would love for you to try it. I think that you'd have a great time. Let me silence all my widgets. Yeah, I love the Lyco dart. Gora sent it to me. It's a blast for sure. It's I would say I wouldn't have probably done it at the Bellagio partially because of the wind factor, but also the powder factor might have been a little bit not in their taste. So yeah, when you do try the Lyco dart, just know that the powder gets quite everywhere. But it's a really cool wow factor ending. It's short, just like any Lyco tool is going to be kind of really intense and then it's over. So I'm looking into having it be like a cool finale moment more than anything else, but it's fun. It's super fun and I definitely recommend trying it out. And I think that I haven't worked enough with it to know all the cool things that could be done. It would be cool to do some cartwheels. It would be cool to I don't know. I haven't tried anything in the horizontal plane because I have this feeling that it's gonna burn my whole face off if I try that, but I don't know. Who knows?
Yikes. Don't burn your face off, Sam.
We always burn our faces off. Who
A
hasn't
little
burned
bit.
their face off in the fire community at least?
Well, I mean, I would love to try it. Are you going to fire drums and or bringing it with you?
Yeah, I can bring it. Yeah, I will absolutely bring it to Fire Drums. I'm not teaching this year, which makes me a little bit sad, but I will probably be there.
Okay, please. I am going to be going. So if you could be there, that'd be
Let's
great.
go. Let's hang out. I'll bring it for you for sure.
All right,
100%.
awesome. So actually, because this will come out after I will be teaching at Fire Drums this year. So
Oh, cool.
yeah, so
Hell yes, Frank.
you're actually like the first person to know that, but this is going to come out after we announce it anyway, so it's no problem.
Oh my gosh, congratulations. That makes me so happy.
Thank
Honestly, that makes me a lot happier because I didn't know. Well, Errol is the other person teaching and like absolutely excellent fucking choice. Sorry, am I allowed
you.
to swear here? I'm sorry if I'm not.
Oh, absolutely.
Okay.
Listen, I'm in Brooklyn right now, so yeah.
Yeah. No, I feel like I'll just be a little bit vulnerable here for a second. I got an email from them asking me to apply, and that's never happened before. And so in my mind, I thought that that was a more personalized invitation, but I see now that they probably just sent that to all of the instructors. So when I didn't get accepted, I was like, man, like I thought that they had asked me to apply intentionally, but at
Yeah,
the end of the day, knowing that you guys are teaching, I'm like, that is definitely the right move. And I know that I haven't gotten to see you enough at Fire Drum, so I'm just really excited to see you again.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you're at least going to be teaching me because I'm going to be bothering you to learn all this horizontal
Let's
stuff.
bother each other.
Yeah, so I mean, you're definitely, and I'm sure I'm not going to be the only person there wanting to learn from you. So I'm sure you're going to have your hands full of rope dart students, no doubt in my mind. Even staying there, you know, when it comes to rope dart, I am personally enjoying all of the different as rope dart is opening up. What was once a martial art is now all of these different things, these different components or genres. And then there's even some subgenres going on because, and I hope it's cool to talk about this, but you and Adam Bush have been putting out partner choreography stuff, which just kind of makes you guys the kings and queens of rope dart choreography. So, what's going on with that? How can we get more? How can we be like Sam and Adam?
Well, Adam actually was the one who approached me about putting together some choreography, and I've been always extremely, extremely inspired by him. I think that he's one of my top roped artists out there. So when
Absolutely.
he actually moved into my old house, I actually kind of instigated pulling him into Los Angeles. He was thinking about it, and I was like, listen, I have a place for you to stay. It's where I was just living. You can have my room. Just come here and come and hang out with us. And then eventually got him to move into one of my best friend's houses, like right across the street. So we got to mess around a lot, but I would say, out of anybody, he is the king of partner rope dart. He instigated that whole thing, and I was kind of following along with a lot of his ideas. I know that he's done some partner stuff in Thailand with some really awesome people, and I've been really, really impressed by that. So anybody, he's just a really open person to wanting to do partner rope art with I don't know. His brain just comes alive when it comes to partner anything. So I highly recommend him in all respects. I think that building that choreography together, we both decided was one of the hardest things that both of us have ever done in roped art. And just we wanted the counts to be perfect. We didn't really care if we were getting burned on certain takes because we really wanted it to look good. And I think we got to the point where we wanted to be by the end of it. But it was like 5 months-ish of like back and forth. Hey, are we putting this in? Oh, this is maybe like needs to be leveled up a little bit. And then yeah, we were able to do it at Burning Man. And then came the video after that.
For sure. And just so, and again, I'm sure a lot of our viewers know exactly what I'm talking about, but what makes your partner choreography with Adam so special and unique is the interactivity. So it's not just you guys standing next to each other. This is an elbow shot. This is an elbow spin. And that stuff's great too, because we're going to talk about the Rope Dart Army video in a second. But yeah, but with you and Adam, there's this connectivity where his rope dart is on you, your rope dart is on him. I even saw him do that with Christina Orozco, I think last year at Fire Drums. And I think that's just the unique differentiating factor why I think of you two as pretty much the leaders of rope dart choreography and partner choreography. It's that interactivity.
Yeah, and actually that they were the first people who inspired me when I saw that act at Fire Drums, and I they changed how I felt about partner rope dart. I definitely originally was more on the side of, hey, I just want to synchronize everything. I want everything to be to the beat of the music, and the partner the rope dart army is pretty much my creation, but Adam he was doing like these cartwheels with but then it would turn into like acro yoga with Christina. It was really high level stuff and they were perfectly on beat, at least from my perspective. He'll tell you that, he feels like he made mistakes during that
Of
fire drill.
course,
Okay,
of
but
course.
I thought it was immaculate and I he really changed the way that I thought about partner rope dart. I just hadn't really been open to it until I saw their show. And then it made me kind of, when he asked me to do a piece with him, I was like, yeah, you know what? Honestly, I'll do kind of whatever you tell me to do.
Definitely. And you know what it is when it comes to partner rope dart, just to even, balance it out a little bit. When you have two rope dartists next to each other that are extremely synchronized, it looks great. And that's more easily understandable to like a muggle audience. When
Right.
you start doing partner sunrises with
Mhm.
Sam or it looks cool. Like we love it. We're drooling, but I would think the average person, I mean, they would think it's cool, but they don't understand it. And for us to enjoy things in life, we need to, it's like there's no activity that you ever engaged in and had fun that you didn't understand. It just never happened. So we want to understand what we're seeing. We want to make sense of what we're seeing. And when something is side by side, synchronized, it's just easier for the muggle brain to pick up, I guess.
It's funny that you say that because I think that's everything about what I care about in terms of my own rope dart style. It is kind of simplifying it just enough to where the audience can be in awe, but they also can connect to it and they can maybe describe it to their friends afterwards. And so that's everything that I want to put into rope dart. So then getting to work with Adam to where I have a little bit of that side of me that I'm pushing into our choreography and he's like, no, this is for muggles and flow artists, and that kind of combination was really really cool.
For sure. I would say I mean, the purpose of the show is for everyone to kind of learn a little bit about, the daughters that we're interviewing. And I just even learned a little bit about what you were saying with regard to the ability for somebody to understand what's going on. What I mean is this, is that you toe the line. When I watch you rope dart, you toe the line between technical things, and I don't mean this as an insult, and also some basic things. You
Yeah, for sure.
really, yeah, you really blend that together, and it's quite brilliant actually, because for all the reasons that you just said. Your audience, it's almost like it gives them an appetizer, a taste. They kind of understand what the meal's going to be like. It's going to be really good, but they haven't really tasted the meal yet. And I think that's what, I mean, look, there's a lot of things about you that certainly attracts everyone watching, but just your ability to make it look touchable in some ways, even though it's on fire.
Yeah, yeah. Honestly, thanks for noticing that because that is my primary focus. I'd say if I had one mission in rope dart, it would be to raise awareness about it and to get everybody who might be into it.
For
And then
sure.
they can go to you, they can go to Errol, they can go to Adam, they can go to all the tech heads and understand the rest of this very intricate world that we have access to. But I do I do try to position myself as the gateway drug into it because I know that that's what brought me into it and I feel like some of the technical skills would have maybe been lost on me, but when Eve is just throwing it up, left, right, neck spin, foot shot, I'm like, I didn't know that was possible, but I remember everything that she did, and so that's just something that's really important to me. But I also, the flip side of it is that technical skill wise, I care a little bit less about the variety with which I am working. And I think that that's where, you want to go to somebody else and you want to see, okay, well, what else is there for this tool? And there's a lot more.
For sure. And I think you're not giving yourself enough credit because you do a lot of very technical, you do techniques that I myself can't do. Not that I'm anybody, but I've been rope darting for a long time. And you do things that I cannot do in my best dreams. So you are a technically great rope artist, and you are also a great gateway drug into rope dart.
Thank you.
Staying on festivals just for a little bit, because you've done some really big festivals. Like I consider Envision, like for me, it's like the creme de la creme. I don't know, I've never been, and behind the scenes might be way worse. You've done Coachella, things like that. These are pretty, at least speaking, Coachella is almost like a household name at this point, or festival. What between a lot of the festivals you've done, is there anything about one of those certain festivals that you're like, you know what, I will go to this festival, I'll do it for the rest of my life, I'll do it for free, it's just so fun, they treat me so great.
Um, I I came up in the festival community, and that is where I kind of cut my teeth into the performance world. And I loved every second of it. I am kind of interested to see what's happening in the festival world right now. A lot of the festivals that we usually rely on are not happening this year, and Lucidity is one of them. Envision's not happening this year. I think Lightning in a Bottle is happening, but is not having performers. So we're
Oh
kind of
wow.
yeah, we're kind of on a little bit of a hiatus with that, and I don't want to say too much about it because I just don't know what the future holds, but I do know that performing in festivals has been some of the most fun I've had in my entire life. And
Hell
it's
yeah.
so, yeah, oh my gosh,
Yeah,
incredible.
the
And
best.
yeah, it's the best. And it's also not the most lucrative move for a career performer. And not that I even necessarily qualify myself exactly as a career performer. I would say I have my feet in many different buckets when it comes to careers. And I guess I want to pay homage to the festival scene because it has been everything to me, and I also don't know where it's going exactly right now. So I mean, Lucidity, for example, is one of my absolute favorite festivals. It brought everything together that I cared about. It brought community together, fire spinning, um, just Santa Barbara, like good friends, like festival family, basically. And it was just such a wholesome space, and I would never trade any of those moments for anything. And I'm really sad that they're not happening this year. So. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see what the next step is, for the festival world. But I mean, I recommend all of them. I just don't know which ones are really going to be
Uh,
high performers anytime soon.
sure. And you don't have to answer this, but any festival that just sucked that you would never go back to, like, no way, you can't pay me enough.
Oh my gosh.
And
No,
if you don't want to down anybody, or like, if you feel uncomfortable answering, you don't have to, but I'm just curious.
no. I mean, I think I would talk shit on a festival that deserved it. I've had a lot of crazy festival experiences, but m more of them are my own undoing than the festival itself. I think in general that what I will say about the festival community is that I know that they're struggling with money a lot right now, so I can't even really play this card, but pay your fucking performers. Like, figure it out. Lightning in a Bottle gave us quite a large budget the year that I was able to bring my whole team there. And so I know that it's possible. I know that it's not possible this year because they are struggling financially. But I feel like when the economy figures itself out, um, please figure out how to pay your performers because we are creating a really, really meaningful experience for people. And, for the same reason that you spend hundreds of thousands of dollars on your DJs, think about putting more budget into that if possible.
And
That's my
let me just,
that's my PSA. But at the same time, I can't really even argue that point because some of my favorite events are literally not even happening because of the economical insanity that's going on right now. So
Well, just to interject with what you were saying real quick, with regard to paying performers and you pay these DJs. Look, I've seen a stage that had a DJ on it and it's kind of boring. I've
Right.
seen a stage that has a fire performer on it and it's fucking awesome. So you're getting bang for the buck. You like think of just picture Envision stage right now with no fire performers on it. Pretty
Right.
lame, no? I mean, who would
Yeah, I mean, I think
I
you and
would
I
I
are
wouldn't
a
pay
little
for
bit,
that.
yeah, I think you and I are a little bit biased in that sense. And
We're very biased.
I, I have so many feelings about the festival world and how the performance opportunities work within it. And I could go on, honestly, for way too long about that. But I'm aware that a lot of what gets people to buy tickets are these, headliner brand name DJs. So I don't want to pretend that I'm not aware of that. On the other hand, I think that a lot of the most meaningful experiences for so many people are these crazy interactions with these performers that people have never seen anything like it. And I know that because that's what happened to me. I loved a lot of the DJs at Serenity Gathering, but I could not name them, a lot of them. And the performers that I witnessed like completely changed my life. So I guess all I'm saying is that however we can facilitate that more, I I'm just pushing out into the universe. Like, can we please find some sort of way to do that? But again, bearing in mind that financially that might literally just not be feasible for a lot of the festivals right now. So I'm trying to see all sides of it, I'm
For
trying.
sure. Yeah, yeah. No, no,
I don't have a perfect solution, but I just know that those kind of experiences change lives.
no, you're being very fair about everything you're saying. So don't, everything you're saying is extremely, it seems right. So, and hopefully something can be corrected. We'll switch. We'll shift away from festivals for a little bit and go into what I really love about roped art, and I know you love as well, and that is teaching. You have, you do workshops in LA. I see those posts pop up every now and again, but you've also taught, I believe, in Colorado, in Florida, like different places in America, and also in Europe with Olivia. Um, I am very interested to hear about teaching in Europe, specifically the European artists. How did they take to you? Any type of challenges like, you know, cultural or language barriers, anything like that?
Yeah, I mean the main places that I focused on teaching were Berlin and Paris. And I was actually there for a couple of other reasons. I think I had some performances and I think I was there to see some family at one point. It was not that long ago, but my memory is so bad.
Right.
But point being, I was there not just for that. And so, um, yeah, from a financial standpoint, it definitely helped subsidize a lot of my costs, and that's great. I think it's also just nice to be there for another reason and then have that be one of the things that you do, because it is very expensive to
Right.
travel around in Europe. But Olivia was so sweet, showed me all around Paris, helped me teach my class. I happen to speak French pretty okay, and
Oh,
having her there was really, really helpful. But we were actually able to do the whole class in French, which was a really big deal
what?
for me.
Really?
Yeah, it was a
Oh,
big
that's
deal
all.
for me because one of the reasons that I know French is because, again, I traveled around so much when I was younger, and my parents put me in French school while I was in Bulgaria and Cuba, mind you, where they don't speak French. So that's another a whole other story of confusion. But point being, I don't really get to practice French very often. But yeah, with her help and with some of the understanding of some of the students, we were able to pull the whole thing off. And I will say that in Paris specifically, I don't know how many people would be excited to have an English speaking only class. I think that different countries are going to be very different based off of how they respond to you coming in and not speaking their language. I got the sense with Paris that they were very appreciative that I spoke their language, versus in Berlin, everyone spoke English
Oh,
and extremely well too. Everything, I don't speak any German. That is definitely not the language that I have ever studied. Very foreign to me, and I had no problem at all locating anyone or everyone was like really, really sweet and helpful. Mika Hell was one of my points of contact in Berlin, and he was super, super helpful just in helping organize everything. And yeah, I taught the whole class of like 30 people, mind you, all in
Yeah,
English. And it was a really, really incredible turnout. I think during that time, I had just been putting out a lot of content, so people were like watching me a lot more, so it was easier to bring people together. So yeah, I would say if you're planning on doing any sort of teaching in other areas, just make sure you're putting out content in advance, because that's going to really inspire people to want to learn from you.
absolutely. And coming back to America, because I know a few times you've done rope dart meetups and gatherings where you invited other instructors in, Madeline Korn being one, Chino Ortega being another. So is this something, just because I would love for dartists out there who might not know how to get started or what to do, can you talk us through just putting, on, you can go as deep as you want, really, but just a fundamental understanding of putting these types of workshops together, how you handle payments, how you handle outside teachers coming in. Because no, listen, I know because it's a lot. It's when I do workshops, it's Sarah and I, and that's it. It's my way, and we're done.
Yeah.
And I don't ask anybody anything. But you probably have to coordinate and figure out, make sure everything's fair. So for the listeners out there who want to get something like that going in their community, how would they start?
I would say one of my best tools is Facebook events. Facebook events really helps get people excited because they're able to see which friends of theirs are going. I think also recently Partyful is an app that a lot of people are using now that more people are on Instagram, and Facebook might be kind of dwindling as like the main social media app. I think Partyful is a really great way of doing that too. But getting people to see that their friends are going, or that at least there's 4 or 5 people showing up it just creates a less intimidating experience. So definitely that. I mean, again, first off, putting out content is going to be absolutely key, showing people what you're interested in teaching them, maybe getting some insights as to what people might want to learn. And then, yeah, putting that into some sort of video promo, hopefully, and then putting that out on Partyful, putting it on Facebook, putting it on Instagram, hell, maybe even putting it on TikTok at this point. I've not done that, but I mean that could be also another great resource. I know that instructor Bensi definitely does that. That's how he gets a lot of his people together. And then you're asking me questions that are gonna show the deep inner hippie in me, that show that I kind of hate being a business person sometimes, and so sometimes I don't go through a lot of emotions that would probably make me more money. It's very much more about the community for me, to my own um demise a lot of the time. So I wouldn't necessarily recommend my other strategies, but I think I've done a lot of donation classes, and you would be really surprised with how excited people are when you when you have access to a class that is donation based. Some people will actually pay extra, but it soothes my soul to have people be able to attend if they're even if they're not able to pay like the full amount. I'll give like a suggested rate, but I will say that the times that I've done that strategy, I've usually actually made just as much, if not more, as the equivalent rate of what I would have charged. I have gotten a lot of feedback from a lot of people saying, hey, you need to be charging this amount, you're worth this, you have a big following, blah, blah, blah. And they're probably fucking right. I just have a lot of trouble with
Well,
um
can I
like
say something?
yeah,
I just going to interject. Yes, you could be charging more, but that's not because of your popularity. That's one side of it. You could be
yeah.
charging more because you're a great instructor. You're good
Mhm.
at it. So I took a class with you in Texas. What was the name of that? Quasar Fest?
Azar!
Oh my God.
Oh my God.
We're going to stay off that one.
Yeah.
But I took a class with you. I thought you were a great instructor. And I've only heard from others that, they learned from you. And again, I said this earlier. If you go on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, you see a bunch of rope darters and they're doing the Sam Tobey stuff, the Flow Mayhem stuff. So you're obviously a good instructor.
Yeah. Thank you. I really appreciate that. And this is just a really vulnerable point for me, which I'm happy to talk about with you because I think it will help other people learn. But it's been a really confusing thing for me to figure out like how much to charge, like because the most important thing to me is making rope dart accessible. And I know that feeling where, when I first was learning rope dart, I was, sleeping on Andreas's couch and he was teaching me for free. And that was a really, really big deal for me. At the same time, the other side of that is like we need to be valuing flow arts as a real craft. And we need to be creating opportunities for people to be making money and creating careers out of this, just like you. And you're obviously, Frank, like one of the best examples of somebody who has really committed to that. And so it's really important, I think, for us to figure out ways to actually make a living off of this. So I really want to empower people to charge their absolute worth. I just also want to be a little bit transparent and say that that's something that I've had trouble with wrapping my head around in the
It's
past.
hard. It
It's
is
hard.
hard. It's hard asking for money. But if you're charging the right price and it's fair, then it's really not that big of a deal.
I agree.
Going back with for anyone out there that wants to try, I think if you're a beginner instructor that's just starting out and you're trying to get something going, I think a sliding scale is a great idea. I really
Yeah,
do because, like Sam pointed out, it's going to bring the community together. It's not this crazy high financial commitment that makes you kind of nervous. And, if the instructor is good enough, they're going to see that they got far more value than they paid for. And, accessibility is super important. And that's one of my biggest thing when it comes to rope dart is, well, the way I say it is this. And there was a movement years ago. So I just want to point that out because what I'm about to say might sound confusing. So when it comes to rope dart, there's two types of content that can be put out there. There's the that's cool and there's the me too. Now, here's the difference between these two types of content. When I put content out that makes people go, me too. I want to do that too. If
Mhm.
I put content out that is so badass, so untouchable and unattainable, everybody goes, that's cool, but they just keep scrolling because it's this thing that is so far, they think it's so far away from their grasp.
Right.
So, even with the fire, going back to what we said earlier, with some of the more foundational elements you put into your performing, that's where it has the Me Too element because you bring this picture to somebody that's like, they might not know that Sam just did a Vandreas to a rising lead elbow shot. They don't know that, but they saw it go around her neck and she shot it off her elbow. How did that happen? And that elicits the Me Too feeling that I look, Eve Harper Close did that for you. You saw her
Right.
rope dart and you went, me too.
Yeah,
That's
for
what the
sure.
rope dart world needs is content that says me too and a sliding scale, large community, especially in the beginning type of approach, I think works wonders for that me too approach.
Yes, I agree, definitely. And I do want to say also that donation-based approach worked quite well for me. It worked well for me during COVID. But what I have kind of been transitioning more towards recently is having smaller groups of students. And then, I mean, I've actually been working with a studio, Jagged Studio was this past couple of months. We just finished a 4-week series a couple of weeks ago,
Mhm.
and they are charging. I'm getting a percentage of it, and I'm actually getting decently paid. And then on top of that, they're charging for it. So this is a different example of a structure where there's less students, it's depth over breadth. And they're also able to commit to a full 4-week program. So they're paying like a chunk of change just right off the bat. And if they're not able to make it to one of the classes, then I'll do my best to summarize it. But it helps them really commit. So I guess that's the other side of some of the teaching that I've been doing. And I'm not really sure exactly where I'm going to go next with it. I mean, the main thing that this is my main masterpiece, in my opinion, is my roped art online course. And that's where I feel like I thrived because, this is like a 10 video series that teaches you almost every basic thing that I think that people should know. And then it teaches you choreography at the end of it. And it's $80. So in my opinion, it's very, very accessible to people. And I've been able to market that for like the past 6 years, and it was doing extremely well during COVID. So that's one thing that I feel like I can inspire people to maybe try out, because the internet is, this crazy, crazy place where you can reach just about anybody out of, 7 billion people. Like, there's going to be people that want to learn your craft. And that is really where I felt the most at home, because I feel like I was able to touch like a bunch of people for a very reasonable price, and the amount of work that I was doing felt like it was very well compensated. So that was like really the sweet spot for me. And then yeah, the in-person stuff has always felt more like, I just like want to like hang out with you guys and like meet you guys, and obviously have a really strong class, but yeah, the online course is really where I feel like I thrived.
Absolutely. And as somebody who watched every single video in that online course, I'm telling you right now, guys, it's well worth the investment in it. I learned a lot from that course. It's things that Sam has a different style than I do. I mean, she has a pretty unique style all of her own. So if you want to get that kind of a flair, and I do, because I'm a collector when it comes to rope art, and I see artists like you or Errol or Adam or my wife Sarah or anybody, and I'm just trying to. Aaron Stanger is amazing. Chino, I'm just Cassidy. Oh my God, I shut up, Frank, because I could just go on forever. But I'm constantly pulling in all of this influence from all of you guys. So whatever I am as a dartist, I really have a lot of you to thank. And I just wanted to touch on something you said as well, just going back to the workshops and classes, and that's this, guys. It's okay to get creative. You heard Sam talk about multiple different structures. There's just flat fees, there's sliding structure, there's she's working in a place and they get paid and they pay her, and the students also pay. It's okay to be creative. It's okay to negotiate. They can give you something and you could say, that might work. Well, what if I did this instead or this? Find a way to do it, because people want to work with you, especially if they think you're bringing something of value to their establishment. Even with your own meetups, guys, parks are free. Figure out a payment structure that works. Say you do a sliding scale the first time and it bombs. That's okay. Try a different approach, or just try it again. Maybe the weekend was a bad weekend. Look, Sam hasn't taught one workshop or one class, one student. I have not taught one workshop, one class. We've taught, I mean, it's dozens. I mean, it's got to be close to 100 now, even considering festivals. And when it comes to actual students between in person and online in our courses, now you're talking about thousands. So we've tried different things. And your best thing, dude, throw spaghetti against that wall until something sticks.
Absolutely. That's one of the best pieces of advice that you could apply to most projects, and I think that that's just something that we should all be reminding of ourselves of when we're feeling like we're hitting a wall.
Well, let me tell you something. That's why every time I feel like I'm hitting a wall, I call you. I'm like, "Man, that's it." When I have those, twice a year freakouts that just happens to me, you've always been a great friend and listen. So thank you.
Yeah, of course. Same.
And one thing, we have just about 10-ish minutes left, maybe a little bit longer. I just wanted to touch on the Mayhem Dart, because that was a wonderful collaboration between us. And, we're seeing it more and more. I know, dartists like Errol, like Adam, absolutely swear by it. They don't use anything else anymore. And, I'm sure, again, most folks watching know this. It's obviously the Mayhem dart because it was Sam that brought this idea to us.
Remember when you were like, do you want your bowling ball ratchet strap set
Yeah.
up?
Well, because
Yeah.
Sam was asking, yeah, she was asking me for something that was basically the width of like a seatbelt in a car with like 30 pounds on it. I'm like, what the hell are you doing with this? But she's doing magic is the answer. What happened? How did you come across this
Um,
idea?
I think that I was trying to find a daytime practice or even show dart that felt like the weight of a six blade shuriken or a six petal lotus. And for those who don't know, that's just the big flame fire dart that I usually use because for me, everything is momentum based and it's very dependent on the weight of the dart itself. So, I mean, I'm blown away sometimes with how precise you can be with less weight, Frank. And that's something that as soon as you put a small dart in my hand, I realize that I have a lot of weak points that I would be served well to work on. But the other side of that is that you just understand momentum in such a different way with these really heavy fire tools, but I think that the rope dart community isn't necessarily all comprised of fire artists, but that momentum and that counterbalance is, I guess, what I'm really trying to talk about is really going to have an effect on your precision and just the overall sacred geometry of the whole piece. So I think that um yeah, it just really changes the tool if you're going to have a lot of extra weight. And if you are going to have a lot of extra weight, you're probably not going to want to have a really like thin shoelacy
No,
situation
no.
digging
Oh,
into your neck at all times. So then it goes back to, all right, well, we need to have a thicker rope in order to be able to accommodate this extra weight. Yeah, I mean, watching Tom Fazio's videos definitely also clued me into the fact that just having a more visible rope could be something that would be helpful and just, aesthetically pleasing. And
yeah, I
yeah,
think for teaching purposes, I think it's brilliant.
yeah,
Whether I mean, especially over the internet, but I mean, even in person. But again, especially over the internet, that extra width is it's just so visually appealing and easy to see. I'm still, I'm a purist. I still rock my Cobra Dart, just regular leash and everything. But I play around every now and again before we ship out a Mayhem dart. I just kind of play with it in our living room here, just for funsies.
yeah. Well, I really appreciate the fact that we have these two worlds because I feel like they both have very dramatically different
Like presentations almost.
pros and cons too,
For
and
sure.
again, like if I was I actually am gonna have to work on my precision this year because I'm hoping to do a piece that involves hitting a target, and that's definitely not my fucking wheelhouse. So I will be actually using a thinner setup and a less heavy setup because that's where you really want to be training the precision, or that's what you want to be using to train precision. So I think I don't know, one of the best pieces of advice that I ever got in flow arts was specifically use different setups. And this more had to do, I think, with hula hoops and maybe a dragon staff or a staff, but that really, really stuck with me because they're going to teach you different elements about rope darts. So if we're trying to level up in all these different ways, like you really should be training with both. That's actually one of the things that I say in my online course, and I stand by that 100% because yeah, there's advantages and disadvantages to each
Right.
situation. You can go to both
Well,
extremes.
definitely. And I agree with you 100% with what you said. And here's just a quick snapshot at the advantage and disadvantages. So it has to do with economy of motion for all the dartists listening. The heavier head that you have, the less work you as the rope dartist has to do. I know that sounds weird, but it's true because the weight, like Sam pointed out, that momentum, that counterbalance, the weight carries a lot of the movements. When you use a lighter head, you, the rope artists, are putting in far more energy and work, and you're actually getting a smaller ROI on that. meaning, so just the TLDR, a heavier head, it's more economy of motion. You, the rope artist, have to move less because the rope dart is going to be carrying its own weight. A smaller head, the rope artist is going to do more physically, and you're also unfortunately going to get less return on that energy from the lighter head. And the heavier the head you go, it just gets more and more true until you get to something like Sam uses that you can't even really spin.
Or Kenton.
And
I was gonna say Kenton for sure. He has this rope dart that he calls Satan's dick or something, and
oh
it's
my,
like
I know.
15, 15 ounces, something like that. I don't even want to know how much it is, like fueled up and on fire, but that's to the point where I'm like, okay, well, I can't even freaking do anything. So I don't want to make it seem like more and more weight is better. There, you do reach a point where you're just in pain.
Yes. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, well, this has been awesome. Any chance that you're going to go to Dart Arts this year?
When is it again?
It is the weekend of October 8th. It's
Ooh.
like the 8th, ninth, and 10th, or it's that weekend. I don't have it off the top of my head.
That would be so cool. I have not gone to Dart Arts yet, and I always get a lot of FOMO, and I always get a little bit sad when I don't go. October sometimes can be one of my busier times of year, and so I think that's usually what ends up happening. But who knows,
Who
given this
knows?
economy, given this crazy situation going on with the LA fires that we're still dealing with as fire performers, you know what? It would actually be potentially a really great opportunity. So TBD, but thanks again for thinking of me and for the invite.
For sure. Oh, well, of course, we'd love to have you. Now, last two things I want to ask you. One is, what message do you have for Dartis? If you had to wrap it all up into a nice bow, what kind of a, I don't mean to put you on the spot, but what message do you, and you listen, to be sure, you already dropped a whole lot of messages in the past hour, so they're all there. But if you had to wrap it up in a bow, what would you say?
Um, let's see. I think rope art can just be an incredible tool for self-expression. It can be a really, really helpful tool to help understand our own mental and emotional state. I think that the people that I've seen who have benefited the most from rope dart are people that need to work something out on the dance floor, kind of, and they need something in their hands to help guide them through that. So I guess that's not really an answer to your question, but that's why rope dart is so, so seriously important to me. It's one of the best mental health tools that I've ever come across easily. Like probably for me, the best. And I notice it sometimes when I'm injured, when I don't get to spin, I feel myself kind of getting angstier and I'm a little bit snappier and I'm a little bit less regulated. So, I mean, that's just like why it's so important to me. It's just such a potentially healing mental health tool. And I think that I would really love to see more people lean into that. Um, and then, I mean, I guess I'll say what I've been struggling lately with is trying to figure out the next step. And I think that that's what we're all trying to figure out at the end of the day is, okay, where do we go from here? And I think that that's one of the names of your class, from here,
Oh, from nowhere to now
from
here.
nowhere to here. Yeah. And I feel like I just want people to be kind to themselves when they're feeling like they're in that space. And just please know that I feel like I'm in that space very often. I've felt like that on and off throughout this whole journey. And I just know that sticking with it and not getting disgruntled, whether it's you didn't get a performance opportunity that you wanted, or you're feeling like you really suck at this move that everybody else can get, or that you really care about, it just still isn't looking right. I don't know, whatever it is, or maybe you're a beginner rope artist and you see all these other people on the internet that are so good. Just know that when I first took a class, actually, this was the only class that I took with Eve, she had to physically capture my foot and place it in the right spot it needed to go to be able to finish the foot shot. Like I was so wobbly, I was about to fall over, and I was really, really bad at rope dart. So I guess I like to tell that story because I think sometimes my students, they come to me and they're like, I just don't think I'm ever going to be good at this. I really want to be, but I don't think it's for me. Trust me, there's no way that you were as bad as I was. Um,
Well,
and it's
I,
just more about caring and like how much are you willing to work at it. I know that a lot of my students have said that kind of stuff, but just try and push through. And this is kind of a message to myself as much as anybody else right now, because I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty in the performance community with the economy, with fires in Los Angeles, and just with the general state of affairs. Let's push through, and when in doubt, let's just practice, because I think at some point those skills are going to come in handy. So yeah, I don't know if that answered your question.
well, it did, especially the part about that, just the mental health tool. I think that's a huge takeaway for anybody, including me. And I mean, I have to agree with you. And it's not like I just, heard something I never heard before. I've used it as a tool just to give myself clarity, peace, happiness, harmony since basically the day I picked it up. So, I think that's a fantastic message to leave daughters with. The last question I'm going to ask you is the last question I ask everybody, and that is, if you can spend one weekend training rope dart with anyone, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, anywhere across the world, it could only be one person. Who would that person be? And if you want to say what made you say that person, we'd love to know.
I mean, Eve doesn't spin a ton from what I've seen, at least on the internet, but if she were to, obviously, I would continue to stalk her. I've literally hung out with her and begged her to do rope dart with me, and she hasn't been really as involved in it. I mean, I don't know for sure if that's the case right now, but Eve would obviously be my first choice if she was spinning. If not, I would
No, no,
say.
no, 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 no. You can only say one.
You can
That's
only
it.
say one? Okay,
No
well, Olivia would be my second. Sorry, you have to put that
spin.
in the podcast. Olivia is like such a fucking inspiration to me, and I don't want to miss the opportunity to plug her right now.
Well, can I tell you something?
Yeah.
If there's one artist on the planet that I could train with, it would be Olivia.
Yeah,
So,
right. Exactly. At
no
least
question about that.
we can agree on that.
Yeah. Well, I actually
Arrow
have
too
two.
lately, but okay, we're done. We're done. We're done plugging people.
It's crazy. I actually have two, and I know that's cheating,
You
but
just said.
I know. I do. Well, listen, if you said two, then I could say two. It's my
Okay,
show.
fine.
So
Fine.
we both agree with Olivia, but I would, so here's where I'm gonna like say that I'm not cheating because I actually don't want to rope dart with this guy. I would
Mm.
want to meet a man named Li Xingdong, who was a rope dart professor at the Beijing Physical Cultural Institute in China back in the 80s. And I would just sit down and I would pick his brain and say, what, like, I know a lot of his technique names, but there's a lot that are still not known. I'd say, what do you call this? What do you call that? I would just try to, I wouldn't want to learn a single rope dart technique from him. I would just want to hear him talk about rope dart and his experience with it.
That's a very frank answer.
Thank you. Thank you. Well, you're a stud. We know that. You're amazing, Sam. Thank you so much for taking your time to speak to rope dartists all over the world about your experiences and how they can progress themselves in the rope dart world. Because truthfully, I want to live in a world where you can get paid to be a rope dartist. Like you make money being a rope dartist, that's your profession. So I think it's going to take folks like you and perhaps me and others to push that motive forward because it's possible.
Absolutely.
For everybody that tuned in, thank you so much. This is a stellar interview as I knew it would be. Peace, love, dot life.